and then you do your thing.
Do what?
I don't know if you need to do anything, but everything should already
We
be
need
set.
the microphone.
Oh yeah, Venerable. Oh, Venerable, do you have...
Oh, yeah.
I believe you know how to do the rest.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Maybe half was okay. Thank you.
Okay, half the bag?
Yeah, half the cup.
Oh, half the cup, Venerable?
Yeah,
okay.
It's okay. Thank you. Yeah. When we begin?
After...
I see.
the tea.
I see. Yeah, yeah. People come? No, no.
I said several minutes.
I see.
Yes.
I see. Mm. No money.
Have you seen the wooden thing?
No.
I can't find the wooden thing.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah,
No,
it's okay.
Because usually I have it for you.
It's here. No, you put over there. They use.
I'll put this just in case.
Oh, it's no need. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. And then, Yes, yeah.
Can you guys join here today? Since Jim is not there. It's weird.
You begin.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry. I need to mute myself.
We continue with four immeasurable, and then I think maybe some visualization. Yeah. Right. Begin.
Yeah, we can start.
Okay, now then we read. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be freed from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from blissful state. So we will talk about this. May all sentient beings, the last one is meditation on equanimity, which we have finished. Then the second one, may all sentient beings have happiness in its causes. the immeasurable compassion, which we have also finished. And then may all sentient beings be freed from suffering, the immeasurable and its causes, the immeasurable. The first one is immeasurable love, which we have finished, and also the second one is from suffering and its causes, which we have also finished the explanation, the immeasurable compassion. Then the fourth one is may all sentient beings never be parted from blissful state. Right. So may all sentient beings never be parted from blissful state. So we visualize and we wish that all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. So then here we wish that all the happiness that sentient beings have, that they never be separated, they never be parted from this happiness and the cause of happiness, right? Not only this, in practical level, in very practical sense, because it is not enough. It is not enough just to aspire and just to wish for happiness, wish for the blissful state, right? Blissful state. In the practical sense, we make all the effort to create the causes which bring us to the blissful state, and which then make us we make us joyful and create the sense of joy, right? So it is very becomes significant to create all the causes and conditions, right, to which then make us in a joyful state. So in order to first of all, we do have happiness, in certain way, some degree of happiness, right? Then this happiness, in order to not to separate from the blissful state, we first need to create the happiness within ourselves. To create the happiness within ourselves, we need to know what real happiness means. What really, the inner joy means. Right? What is inner joy? What is mental happiness? What is the mental peaceful state? Right? So many, when we talk about the internal world, as just we say, we need many causes and conditions to make us, to make us happy ourselves, right? And then there are mainly two causes, two causes, and also there are, two experiences. What is called as two forms of joy. One is at the and one is purely at the mental level. With regards to the sensory level, the pleasurable joy, the pleasurable experiences, or what is called as what is called as sensorial happiness, right? And then we have, on the other hand, we have the mental happiness. sensory joy is mainly fulfilled through through external facilities, right? Through external facilities. So external facilities just provide us the comfort, the physical comfort, and in this regard, there is no there's no wrong in pursuing it. There's no wrong in achieving it. We are all doing that, right? We are all doing that. So it's 100% right to achieve as such. But then, on the other hand, what we are talking about the mental health, mental joy, which is then more superior, and which then surpasses those experiences at sensory level. Because when we talk about the mental happiness, it is not something ready-made, right? It is not something come into all of a sudden without making any effort on one's part. So this mental, what is called as mental happiness and mental joy, which we need, which we achieve through training, mental training, right? Mental training, mental transformation, what is called as, in other words, mental transformation, right? So that's very, very, very important, because when we talk about transformation, this the deep felt experience is only occurs at the much deeper transformation level, transformative level, right? For example, right now, when we talk about when we talk about cherishing the thought of cherishing others, and also when we talk about the unbiased love, or unconditional compassion, a sense of forgiveness, the patience, all these are which we need to go through the tremendous amount of training. This will not for few days, a couple of weeks, for 1 month, it has no a strong impact. The thing is that we need to we need to carry on with this transformation method for years and years, decades and decades, and then slowly the modification take place. Because why we need to spend years and years, decades and decades, are because on the other hand, when we talk about those emotions like destructive emotions, which are so which are, if you don't investigate, if you don't try to if you leave it as it is, then it seems very powerful, right? But then if the only matter is that we put into issue is that we put into we try every method to to make it to reduce it, or try to overcome it, right? If we try to make all our effort in this regard, these destructive emotion has no basis, has no grounding, valid grounding, because these many of these destructive emotions are based on exaggeration, right? Exaggeration has no valid basis. No matter how yet we used to eat, it cannot. Yes, these destructive emotions, to some extent, it can enhance to a certain level, but then beyond that, it cannot enhance. It cannot enhance its strength, because it lacks the valid grounding. Right? This is one thing. Yet on the other hand, this positive emotions like the wisdom, as we said earlier, the unconditional love, all these, wonderful, positive, good qualities, these can be enhanced to the limitless stage because they have such a valid grounding, valid grounding. Later on, the more we get, get habituated with these, positive emotions, it can really, uh, gain its fullest strength. Gain its fullest strength. At one point, you on your part, you don't need any effort to make it manifest, to make it something living within ourselves, the mere causes, conditions, triggers, like this. So then, so it is very important to identify, what really is, mental happiness. Once we are able to identify, once we are able to so usually, many of our, joy and happiness, I mean, pleasure experience, there's no doubt, right? We we derived, or we gain through, we gain through the external facilities, yeah. By enjoying the external facilities, we get certain amount of, uh, pleasure experience at sensory level. This we do experience, but then the it is it is questionable how far we are getting the inner happiness, right? Inner kinds of, by using our inner resources, how far do we develop a sense of mental joy? This is questionable, right? Because in order to do so, we need to, we ourselves have to experience this, right? So, but then the question is how far we experience, right? And then in order to enjoy this mental happiness, as we said, we need to identify what is mental happiness, right? Mental joy. When we try to mental joy, it is not that the mental joy, when we try to, when we try to understand what this mental joy is, it is just a satisfaction, right? Mental satisfaction, mental, kind of a deep satisfaction. Once you experience that deep felt satisfaction, that is joy, mental joy, right? So in order to experience that, deep felt mental experience, we need to have certain understanding and certain experience, certain experience of that mental joy, and need to identify mental joy, what really contributes, to the creation of that mental joy, right? Now then, what are the causes, right? Now this, as we discussed, was love, unconditional love, the forgiveness, the sense of forgiveness, cherishing others, there are many good positive qualities, where there are any kind of destructive emotions, has its opposing force, opposing force. That means there are limit, just as there are, a great deal of destructive emotions. Similarly, there are a great deal of positive emotions that which we need to awaken within ourselves, right? At the beginner stage, at the beginner stage, at most of the times, those destructive emotions, ruin us, right? But then through training, we reach a stage where we can then, ruin them. We can just, we can overwhelm them, and we can subdue them, right? So these positive mental thoughts, positive mental, identify this, then what? We identify the positive mental thoughts, So that's very important. Now, how do we see the value of the positive mental thoughts, positive emotions? How do we see, right? How do we see, sometimes we fail to appreciate, we fail to value these positive mental thoughts because we haven't experienced it, right? Now, on the other hand, we really see the value, First, for example, much of our I mean, many of the problems, many of the problems that, many of the suffering, the misery, all this arise to some extent, related with, related with the external facilities, due to the lack of external facilities, we sometimes go through the displeasure, right? Displeasure or unpleasurable experiences, right? But on the, but then on the other hand, also, what is called as emotional crisis, right? Emotional crisis, then which is related with the mental consciousness, right? To that degree, we also get a greater degree of suffering, mental suffering, right? Greater degree of suffering. Now, just for take an example, right? The experience tell us, right? Experience tell us, for example, we don't need any, very, of course, these are very, very important, there are many, the Buddha taught many, these wonderful teachings, psychology teachings, all these, really, truly wonderful, amazing, teachings. But then on the other hand, one's own experience also tell us, right? For example, anger, right? Anger or hatred. When the when the anger or hatred arises within ourselves, now the question is, are we happy or are we not happy? So this is the question, right? And also, like kind of a sense of competitiveness and sense of jealousy, and the sense of a kind of pride or arrogance, are when all these emotions, arises within ourselves, are we happy or are we not happy? If we are if we are happy, then that's different story. In most cases, we are unhappy. If we are unhappy, then what is the what is the opposing force? That's why love, unconditional love, cherishing others, become the valuable thing. Because on the other hand, when these emotions are, arise within ourselves, it makes us happy. If they make us happy, then on the other hand, this opposing force, which are the positive emotions, positive thoughts, which definitely make us happy, right? So through this, analysis, through this logical approach, we come to understand that positive emotions are the real bestower and the real giver of the inner joy, right? Inner joy. So these things are very important to understand, really, important to understand.
So it's based on the training of positive.
Yeah, right. Yeah. These are very, very important to understand, Now, the only thing is, for example, right, in many of the cases, I'm not saying, I really, I inspire, right? I inspire and I completely, I completely support, with, I'm not saying, sensorial pleasures are not important. Of course, we need, this, we need these sensorial pleasurable experiences, right? Definitely we need, nobody is saying sensory pleasure experience are not necessary. Nobody is saying this. We need this. But the thing is that we are not totally committed to this, right? So this is to some extent wrong, because we are totally committed to this, devoted to the, devoted to, creating this kind of, pleasurable experience at sensory level. That sometimes we really forget, to creating mental joy, mental happiness, right? So, and then how do we know this, at some point, for example, right? For example, for example, we have some kind of habit, right? Hobby, hobby or habit, we do this habit for some time, right? We do this hobby, carry on with this hobby for some other time, and also, mm, and also, there are many other things which make us happy, right? There are many other things which make us happy at sensory level, and then now the question is, for example, we do some other thing, some kind of thing which make us some happy, maybe for maybe for a few hours, the maximum. Say, I don't know if this kind of pleasurable experiences, sensorial exists or not. Maybe say for 5 hours in one continuous, in one in continuation through through uh, by enjoying the external facilities. Say you get some pleasurable experiences maximum for 5 hours. Then right, then the question is, can we really this pleasurable experience for 5 hours, can we make it experience for 1 year in continuous go? You cannot do that, right? Pleasurable experience, sensory level, right? Can we maintain that pleasurable experiences for 1 year without any break? No.
Because of impermanence.
1 year because of impermanent, right? Because of impermanent. Yeah, that's right. Also, one is because of impermanent, and another thing is why is because no matter how external, the pleasurable experience that we gain through enjoying the external facilities cannot be enhanced to the limitless stage. No matter. Why is because these pleasurable experiences, is in the nature of dissatisfaction, unsatisfactory. The more we experience it, the more we feel thirst, the more we need much profound, happiness. Take example, right? Take example. Right? We are, we are given one, good taste food, good taste. For example, one food, right, which you have enjoyed a lot. The same food you eat for 6 months. What happened? The same food. Now, there is no longer the good taste. Right? No longer the good taste. Similarly, not only the food, you want another one. That's why if you try to see all the affection, right? There's one, fashion thing, which maybe maximum remain for 3 months, then it's overdated, expired. Then another faction come. It continues to change. There's no satisfaction nature.
You taught us before the joy or the happiness is based on the disappearance of suffering.
Yeah.
That's the base. Because of the suffering, you vanished. So
that's right.
That is so-called happiness.
That's right. So, but then, we believe it as pleasurable experiences, right? We believe it as pleasurable experience. It's a mere, what it is the mere the complete, some the stoppage, how to say, the cessation of a certain degree of suffering, which we call as happiness, right? Happiness. For example, this I cited few times ago. I have some, few years ago, for example, renal pain, right? Renal pain, I developed some renal pain, and then I took medicine. But then the what I consume as a medicine, I vomit. There's no injection. Injection does not work. Anyway, there's a certain, the pain is 100%. The pain is 100%. Then I get some kind of relief. That reliefness I consider as happiness. Pleasurable experiences. But indeed, in reality, that is not that is not the newly created pleasurable experience. It is just the mere cessation of the suffering to a certain degree. But I mistakenly consider as a pleasurable experience. It is in the nature of the dissatisfaction, suffering, because now what happens is, if it is the truly, some kind of, reliable pleasurable experiences, then these pleasurable experiences should remain for a longer period of time. But that is not the case. As the, unfavorable causes condition comes together, the pain is, the pleasurable experience is gone. This is so. Not only this, the food, everything. The more we experience this, the more we feel. And for example, there's a few there are certain degree of meditation, certain degree of meditation, which really to give us some kind of the blissful experience, joy. For example, right. Though there are some, for example, not only in in Buddhist the practitioners among the Buddhist tradition, in other ancient traditions, in early ancient Indian traditions, where there are practitioners, they because they enjoy everything, whatever pleasurable experiences possibly existed. They enjoy everything at one point of time. Then what they do is they are tired of these things, pleasurable experiences. They want much profound joy and happiness, pleasurable experiences. So what they do the kind of meditation where they destroy all the afflictions of our realm, desire realm, because we are here in the desire realm. So as a result of having abandoned, get rid of the afflictions of this desire realm, right? As a result of which, then they they obtain much subtler, much profound mental states, which is where they are born in the form realm. Desire realm, form realm. So the beings in the form realm have much more advanced, and much more subtler joy, mental joy, because the grosser emotions of the desire realm, negative emotion and destructive emotions have eliminated temporarily. So they enjoy. So in the beginning, what happens is they are so intoxicated. By this, the blissful experiences. They are so intoxicated by these blissful experiences that they remain in that state for eons and eons. We are not talking about 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. We are not talking about century, decades. We are not talking about centuries. We are talking about eons and eons. We talk eons, and it's such a very, very long period of time. Right? Very, very long period of time. No matter how much they are intoxicated, how much they are impressed, but the deep felt in the pleasurable experiences, at certain point, they again feel tired, disgusted of what they are, what they are experienced. So then again, they thought this pleasurable experience is nothing. So they want to achieve much more higher state. So through this, finally, form realm, there are 17 levels, 17 different levels, Then, so they, enjoy each of these, experiences, mental joy. After all, they thought there's nothing reliable which can give long-lasting peace. So what they do is they again try to. So as a result, they destroy the afflictions of the former realm, and then they take a birth in the formless realm. Once they take a formless realm, there are 4 levels, different levels, where these 4, many of the, form realm, there are 17 level or sometimes 16 level. Formless realm, there are 4 levels. So these levels are determined or varies because of the subtlety of the profundity of the mental joy, the mental experience, deeper mental experience. So anyway, they finally then born in the formless realm. Formless realm, again, it's like everything is seen as like a space, right? Space. They don't visualize anything, They non-conceptualize, because as long as you conceptualize, it gives us some degree of mental discomfort. So they don't, conceptualize anything. What this work is namgathai, the space like then you don't, in the second realm, you don't conceptualize anything. Then the third is like, again, sky. The fourth one is the peak, So they go through each of these, enjoying each of their blisses. Finally, what happened? They take birth in the highest form of joy, which they can attain. In the samsara, the highest form of joy that we can attain is, in the formless realm, in the peak existence, we call peak existence. Again, they enjoy for eons and eons. They remain in that, meditative experience, blissful meditative experience for such a, long eons and eons, right? Again, at some point of time, they are tired. They feel unreliable. This is. So again, then what happened? And again, they take, again, they, go down, and then, or like circling, So everything, if you try to, if you take everything for granted, then that's it, right? However, if you try to do some, we use, some brain, we use, intelligent wisdom to analyze in that way, then, it is worthwhile that mental joy and mental happiness is far more superior, right? Superior. It is very clear, right? Like in India, in some poorer countries, where some village, in the family, some very old lady, elder lady, all the teeth, 2 or 3 teeth, only there, but they, in their face, bears full of smile, right? Full of smile, and, they jog each other like this, There's some kind of, mental joy. Although, economically, they lack, economic, financial problem there. But then there's a deeper, joy, inner joy. Yet on the other hand, I mean, there you're living everything, you know, all this, you know. We may be living in a very, you know, the house of the, you know, maybe a house very, you know, expensive house, you know, where the house is very expensive and everything is there, you know, all the modern, you know, gadgets, modern, you know, things, you know, and then you have a high paying and, you know, good paying job, salary, everything is there. Right. But then, you know, one can be very unhappy person, unhappy individual. Everything is there. You have all the things. In terms of, you know, financial, you know, the things, in terms of the economic things, you have nothing to worry about this. But then when it comes to the mental joy, mental happiness, one can be very unhappy, an individual unhappy person, individual type, unhappy individual. So this clearly shows, you know, again, I, you know, used to, you know, people, you know, if you look at the village, you know, they're not, you know, how many people suffering from depression, how many people suffering from stress, how many people suffering from the, you know, the sense of loneliness, self-hatred. Whereas if you look at the, in the, you know, much more, you know, developed countries, you know, highly developed countries, you know, I mean, the population of the stress, the depression, the self-hatred, right? And then loneliness, all this much in higher degree. So this, all this, you know, all this indication shows the mental happiness is surpasses the physical pleasure, pleasure of sensory, pleasure of experience at sensory level. You know, the mental experience much more deeper, superior, you know. The only thing is whether we train it or not, you know. Once we are trained, then there's no doubt that what is the quality of our life is not, you know, measured by, you know, external things. It is purely measured by, you know, how, you know, how full one's mental joy is, how complete one's mental joy is. So this determined on that basis, I feel. Yeah.
Remember, I just had one understanding about the happiness and the suffering. From what you taught, happiness is based on the disappearing of suffering. So, which means happiness itself is suffering. They are the same thing. Or there is no suffering, there is no happiness, which is called emptiness.
So, yeah. So this is what I said, right? It is important to understand, right? I don't say pleasurable experiences, right? Now, for example, like pleasurable experiences at sensory level, those pleasurable experiences sensory level, I'm not saying I'm not saying that these pleasurable experiences we don't want. I'm never saying this. I haven't said earlier, and I'm not saying here, and I will not say in the future. Of course, these are necessary. But what I'm trying to say is these pleasurable experiences, right? These pleasurable experiences at the sensory level, yes, are they pleasurable experiences? Yes, the pleasurable experiences, you know, now, for example, I enjoy some food, right? I enjoy some food. I get some, you know, that good, the delicious, the deliciousness of the food, I get some flavor, good flavor. This is a pleasurable experiences. There's no doubt, no, nobody is, arguing or is not pleasurable. Of course, this is pleasurable experience, right? This is pleasurable experiences. The pleasurable experiences is a pleasurable experiences, right? But now the problem arises. The pleasurable experiences is a pleasurable experiences, but then we believe this pleasurable experience as a long-lasting pleasurable experiences. So, the long-lasting and so reliable, so much, so reliable, right? So reliable and so long-lasting pleasurable experiences, right? Because of this, again I say, yes, we need food to survive, we need good food to survive. So this is our innate, right, and we have all the right, What we are saying is, this pleasurable experience, you take it as something long-lasting. Pleasurable experiences so long-lasting that we make committed each and every time to accomplish this. This is wrong, right? What we are saying, this is wrong. Then because of this, this pleasurable experience is indeed in the nature of suffering, in the nature of dissatisfaction, unsatisfactory, right? But we don't understand it as unsatisfactory, right? We don't understand it as unsatisfactory, and we believe it to be the long-lasting. And because of this, we develop all the attachment, the grasping, attachment. And because of this attachment, grasping, the craving gives rise to suffering. On the other hand, we don't want suffering. Right? We want happiness. If we don't want suffering, then why do we create all these things? Right? We can enjoy the best of everything. We can enjoy the best of everything without much grasping involved, without much craving involved, attachment involved. So this is, I think, the main point. Right. So may also, so that's all for, may all sentient beings never be. It's a joy, immeasurable, joy. May all sentient beings never be parted from blissful state. It talks about immeasurable joy, So through this, you get really, get a tremendous amount of joy. No, it's not enough, Of course, here the visualization involved. May all sentient beings, how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings have the joy, immeasurable joy. Right? How wonderful. We just aspire, we just aspiring, we wish, just wishing that how wonderful all sentient beings have immeasurable joy. This wish alone, this wish alone eliminate, overcome many of the destructive emotions, the possible arising of the destructive emotions. Just this thinking alone. So how powerful, in a positive qualities of the positive thoughts are, right? Then how wonderful if all the sentient beings not only your, friends, entire sentient being, anyone who has a feeling of pain and pleasure, wish, need to have, So you just aspire, how wonderful, right? And then we move to the second, when you gain certain kind of feeling, some feeling, then we move. May all the sentient beings, now your thoughts, become more courageous, more courageous. Now you are not wishing. In the second, training, we thought, may all the sentient beings should have immeasurable joy. Right? In the first, you just aspire, how wonderful if all sentient beings have immeasurable love. Now your courageous, you become more courageous. Now you are not only wishing, but you are actually want to do something. So that is, may all sentient beings have love, should have love, come to have love, immeasurable love. So more courageous, right? Some degree of involvement is some your own, there's some degree of responsibility on your part is being involved in the second. Then in the third, now you become more further courageous. In order to have all sentient beings a sense of immeasurable love, may I be able to do this. So a deeper sense of responsibility is being involved on your part. Right? I will do it. I'm going to do it. So there's a tremendous sense of courageous, right? May all sentient beings, I'm going to do it. So then, at that point, what you visualize is, because sometimes visualize, one need to do, then we already visualized, earlier, there's some kind of refuge field, right? Refuge in the Buddha Shakyamuni, surrounded by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. You have already visualized earlier during the, when we go for refuge, you already, don't dissolve it, leave it, right? Until here. So the rays of light and the nectar comes from their body, all them, observe refuge, and it touches to all the sentient beings and in yourself. As soon as it touches, it touches your body and all the sentient beings, all of our, may all our negativities, are gone, and we are filled with, our heart is come to fill with immeasurable love. Right. So we have to, we need to do this kind of visualization, because what happened, if you do this, the question is, if you do this, for example, you visualize the light rays coming from, all the, the object of refuge, and, as soon as it touches you and all the sentient beings' body, all our, problem, the negativities, obscurations, all are gone, and we are filled with the immeasurable love. But what is the point of doing such a meditation, right? What is the point? If it really, cannot transform into the real situation, what is the purpose? Now we may think, it's a waste of time. Right. That's not that's not really the case, The very purpose is to gain, this is how we trained. This is how we train, because we are trying to, first we try to train at a, we try to train so that at the mental level, when we try, get habituated, we get used to this kind of training, habituated, and then in reality, we are able to do this. We are not only able to, we are not only able to practice relating to the individual person, we are also able to now to do at whomever we meet, to all the sentient beings, right? It also gives us tremendous amount of courageous, because in order to work for the welfare of others, we need courageous. Right now we are not able to work for the benefit of all the sentient beings, not only sentient beings, even one's own, country, we are not able to do this. Because why? Because we are lacking courageous. We have no courage to do this. We are not able to, handle all this situation because we have no courage to handle. We have no courage to shoulder the responsibility. This such kind of altruistic determination, right? So something like this. So we need tremendous amount of courage, because now, for example, take example, right? When we train in the profession of giving, profession of giving, I have, for example, I have $100. I have $100. If can I really perfect can I really train well in the profession of giving? Can I really complete this practice? Perfect this, complete perfect this, the completion of the generosity or giving, right? Yes. Then, if that is the case, then how do I perfect? When we talk about giving, the practice of giving, the perfection of generosity, does not mean, for example, I have $100. I have to. How many homeless people? How many beggars in this world? If I have to give $10, how much is it enough? Right. $100. If I give, share all this, how many beggars in this world? No, not the beggars. How many people? 7 billion people on this planet. If I have to share $100, how many people? 7 billion people will get? No. It's not, by physically, giving away my $100 to 7 billion people will not able to perfect. It's not a measurement of having, completed my perfection of giving. Here, the perfection is giving done at the mental level, right? Giving, because at certain point, what is the purpose? What is the very purpose, of giving the perfection of giving, right? The purpose of, giving the perfection is at one point through training. Everything is going in the, mental training, mind training at a certain point. At a certain point, you reach at a certain level where you have not even a sense of stinginess over your material resources, over your body, the merit of the 3 times. You are ready to dedicate entire for the well-being of the entire sentient beings. So this is how we, the perfection of giving is measured. How the perfection of giving is measured. Not a single stage, and you're ready to, not a sense of, even the muzzlelessness, ready to give everything. Once you had reached that point, you are perfected. Not necessarily need to, but then as a power of having well-trained mental level, in practical level, we are able to do this very easily, very nicely, easily, right? So, right. So this is how the visualization is very important. Visualization. I mean, we read these things. As I stress, on the thinking. I mean, with the thoughts of going for refuge, immeasurable, these are words, just a words, So with some, visualization, going some, kind of thinking, then if you do really very powerful. Right. Otherwise, otherwise, if I mean, again, I'm saying, readings. I'm not saying reading is not important. Of course, reading is very important in the reading. But then, if you don't visualize the meaning, then or say. Yeah, and then reading this one, and there's another story, right? What makes the difference between another story? There's a one story, you read some part from the story, and you read some from the. It doesn't make any difference. If visualization is not involved, it's all just reading. So visualization is very, very important to make. Sometimes we have when we some really deep meaning words. For example, some people, they do have some some seed of some seed Buddhism, we call some seed of hearing the profound emptiness. What they do is, when the teaching, when the instruction on the profound emptiness is being taught, there tears come, right? They the skin, the hair on the pores of the skin, they raise, right? So this again through meaning, all this happened, right? Like this. So then we visualize that all the sentient beings have the immeasurable love. With this, then we have finished explanation of the four immeasurable, right? If you want to do this, for immeasurable, we do we do the visualizes each. May all sentient beings, now for example, first we read, right? May all sentient beings have happiness in its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from blissful state. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. When we read this, right? So we don't begin with visualization. The syllable team transform into Ksitigarbah. This is not how we are doing, supposed to do, Just live. When the last verse is finished, leave it, Then we do some kind of, we are doing meditation. Each people can do, in their, when they read, do some meditation, right? What we have discussed, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, right? And then after that, then, then syllable transform into. So this is how, we don't continue to read, one after the another without any kind of visualization, right? With the thought to free all beings, first going for refuge, I shall go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly until I reach for enlightenment. May all sentiments. It doesn't make much sense, Just, leave it when to the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly until I reach for enlightenment. Devote, give time for thinking for 2 or 3 minutes. Once through that, you're able to connect with the teaching. We're able to connect with the practice. The person and the teaching become same, right? Otherwise, the person and the teaching become irrelevant. The teaching is there, you are here. It doesn't make any sense. Because the very purpose of our doing practice is to give some kind of, intellectual, not only the intellectual understanding that And if you go further, further, you're able to connect with the practice. You're able to connect with the teaching. Then we really, feel that the valuable, right? Because in the early times, for example, at least in the land of snow, in Tibet, many of the great masters, they have sacrificed their life. Many Lodzawas, translators, they went to India, they went to Nepal to obtain such a very precious teaching from India. They spend all the the teaching is given for gold. They went there, and then they give the gold, and they receive the teaching, right? So this is again, not for exchanging, you give me some gold, I will give you. Not that way, really, no, not that way, but to show the greatness of the teaching, because they obtain teaching such a through great hardship, even sacrifice their life. The robbers during those times, the robbers, the rivers, the wild animals, all things, they forsake everything and went to India, to these very, dangerous, plateaus. Right. So the teaching, which finally for example, like the great, Indian master, Naropa underwent 24 hardships, just for the sake of the teaching, the Mahamudra teaching, which then led to enlightenment in a single lifetime. Right? How Milarepa, how the great yogi Milarepa, went through such a asceticism, very hardship in order to obtain the teaching, which then led to the enlightenment in a single lifetime. Right? These are, the main purpose is to, to show the greatness of the teaching, that this teaching, very, very, even, some teachings, the perfection of wisdom teaching, how, Bodhisattva ever crying, ready to sacrifice his life in order to obtain the perfection of wisdom sutra, right? And then even, some, if you look at the, esoteric teachings like Vajrayana teachings, some are very restricted, some are very restricted, even, not to transmit to the in the public, right? So these show the greatness of the teaching, right? The extreme greatness of the teaching. So then, right? So we spend, each time, each spend few moments, right? Few moments like this. When we, when the people want to do these things, right now, spend normally few moments of, reflection. Then with this, if people have time, they can do, first, right? May all sentence first we read, right? For example, for immeasurable. When we are done with the for immeasurable, the visualization being involved is you can do 2 visualization. If you have time, then you do the longer one. If we have no time, then we do the shorter one, right? If we do have the time to, to do the longer one is, then may also, first we meditate on immeasurable, right? Which we have discussed, right? Immeasurable equanimity. Because of immeasurable, because of the unbiased, because of, not unbiased, because of the biased, we suffer, to some way, being, for some we are attached, for some we feel distance, anger, hatred, all this, because of this, we suffer. So then we wish, how wonderful if all sentient beings have the sense of equanimity, immeasurable equanimity. May all sentient beings have should have immeasurable equanimity. I will be able to do this, right? So may I be able to do this, such a tremendous, encouragement, inspiration. Then may all the merit field, may all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas able to do this. Then you visualize the nectar, the nectar and the rays of light flowing and touches yourself and all the sentient beings. We visualize, right? Here, right side, your father, the left side, your mother, in front, your enemy, on the back side is your close ones. We visualize that. And then you're being surrounded by all the sentient beings, mother sentient beings. And then the rays of light from the, matter field comes, and all the, rays of light and the nectar, it touches all the sentient beings. And then negativities are gone, and they do attain the realization of the immeasurable equanimity. And you feel joy at it. We feel joy at it. This is visualization first, immeasurable equanimity. The second is love, right? The immeasurable, meditation of love. Sentient beings, how wonderful sentient beings have love, immeasurable love. If sentient beings have already love, then why do we do this kind of meditation? Sentient beings are not, don't have love. Sentient beings are bereft of love, not only the uncontaminated, stainless, stainless happiness, but they are bereft of temporary happiness also. They lack temporary happiness. Because why they do lack temporary happiness? They do not know how to achieve the right happiness through the right cause, right? Through the right cause and conditions. So therefore, they are bereft of love. So we need to understand that in what ways sentient beings are bereft of the joy and happiness. So once you understand, then you truly wish sentient beings, you wish sentient beings have love, right? Love, and not only that, sentient beings should have love. May they have love. Not only this, may I will be able to do so to fulfill that sentient beings have love, and then may all the the refuge, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas help me to accomplish this, to fulfilling the love of others, all sentient beings, right? Then at that point you visualize you visualize at this meditation love, immeasurable love, your resources, your material wealth, your body, your body and your merit, your virtue of 3 times are transformed into the nectar, rays of nectar, right? Rays of nectar are transformed into the rays of nectar. So these rays of nectar touches all the sentient beings, right? Touches all the sentient beings. As soon as that touches the sentient beings, all the negativities, all the the negativities, the sickness, all these are gone, and you have placed them in a state of higher rebirth. You have placed them in the bliss of temporary happiness and ultimate happiness, right? You place them. And you also place them to the causes which gives them ultimate and temporary happiness. And they also now born, they are in their mind, they are born with an immeasurable love. All the sentient beings are in their heart, born with the immeasurable love. So this is second meditation on immeasurable love. Then meditation on the immeasurable compassion. Why do sentient beings suffer? We want happiness, but then instead of getting happiness, we suffer. Why do we suffer? It's distortions. Distortions. I mean, there are different kinds of distortion. Thinking things to be eternal, long-lasting, things to be independent existence. Things appear. Just as things appear, we don't investigate. We immediately try to hold on it as some kind of independent, and because of this, craving arises. Craving gives rise, attachment arises, the aversion arises, different kinds of emotions arises. This then give rise to craving. Craving give rise to suffering. That is mental suffering, right? So that is mental suffering. So now, so this is the thing, right? So again, may all sentient beings have immeasurable compassion. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings have immeasurable compassion. May all sentient beings, not only you wish, you just, supplicate, you pray, may all sentient beings should have immeasurable compassion. In order to do that, it is in the first and the second thought is just a kind of, mere aspiration and mere prayer. Now in the third, you take the responsibility. May I will be able to do this. I'm going to do this, right? So such a sense of, the courage, encouragement, inspiration is drawn in you. So, right. So you're, inspired that I will be able to do this. Then, in order to do this, right now, I have no strength. I have no strength. I'm just an ordinary being. So, you, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, who you visualize in front of you, now they have full potential to save us, to protect us. So you draw the inspiration from them, right? Please bless me to be able to do this. So you are taking the encouragement and inspiration, the blessing from these, enlightened beings, which you have visualized in front of you, right? So then rays of light from there come. It touches all the sentient beings, suffering, which is caused, the mental suffering, the physical suffering, all the suffering, different kinds of sufferings, all the suffering of the sentient beings, all the suffering of the sentient beings, you take coming from their body, right? Coming from all the openings, the pores, in the form of the openings, the doors, and in the form of pores, in the form of blood, pus, the scorpion, the snake, the black smoke, in the form of these things. And then, increase the merit. As a result, their body, all the sentient beings' body become very light. They feel with tremendous amount of joy. The resources, the merit, the good health is all enhanced, increases. They have in their mind born with immeasurable compassion in their mind. Right. Then the last one is, may all sentient beings, how wonderful it would be if sentient beings have the immeasurable, immeasurable joy. May all sentient beings come to have immeasurable joy. May I will be able to do this, to fulfill that all sentient beings have immeasurable joy. And then please, you request, you get inspiration, you obtain inspiration from those truly, are truly in a better position, in the fullest potential, complete position to be able to do this. So you ask for their blessing, and the rays of light coming and touches all the entire sentient beings, all the negativities, all the obscurations are gone, right, are purified. And then you are filled with, you and all the sentient beings are being filled with joy and happiness, right? And then especially the immeasurable love is born in the minds of all the sentient beings, including yourself. Right? So this is how we do individually, right? Individually, of the four immeasurable. So if we have time, we then do this, right, like this. If we have no time, if we are busy, then the short one is, after we read this, right, after reading this, then right, the rays of light from the depth of your heart, you supplicate the rays of light from the refuge, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas comes, and it spread, it comes and touches all the sentient beings, including yourself, and all the negativities are gone, all the obscurations are gone, all the sicknesses are gone, all the sicknesses, what make us unhappy, right? All different kind of, both, self-grasping, self-cherishing, all these things are gone. Diseases, illnesses, the obscurations, everything which is make us happy, these are already gone, and we are filled with all the good qualities, your merit, your resources, inner resources, your long life, your virtue, everything is increases. You feel the strength is increases, and especially you and all the sentient beings in their mind, the realization, the attainment of the four immeasurable are born, and we are so satisfied with having attained this four immeasurable, which is the very root for cultivating altruistic mind, awakening mind, right? So this is the short one. Right. Then we come with now visualization. Right. We come with a visualization. Now here, there are a few, now we visualize, before we visualize, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you, right? We visualize before, I think you remember. So this one, now you don't leave it, you need to dissolve that. We need to dissolve that. There are 4 ways of dissolving. 4 ways of dissolving this, Don't leave it as it is when we do the visualization, right? The first one is, where do these Buddhas come from, right? These Buddhas kind of suddenly, right? Somewhere from the space, or air, No, they come from wisdom, dharma dhatu, dharmakaya. They arise from wisdom. Just as they arise from wisdom, they return back to they departed back to their wisdom nature, dharma dhatu nature, right? This is one visualization. Another kind of visualization is, and then this, gets smaller, right? From the heart of the Buddha Shakyamuni, which is, the main figure, rays of light spread to all the, and then, Buddha Shakyamuni, right, surrounded by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So the light rays scattered, right, and then, from the edge begin to, dissolve, like, mirror, if you exhale, how it does, the vapor, right, doing like this, right, the same rays of light goes out, and then, from the edge begin to dissolve into light, and finally Buddha Shakyamuni is left, and Buddha Shakyamuni also dissolve into light from the edge, and finally become into nothingness. So this is a second way of doing. The third way of doing is, what we have visualized, we dissolve into the, this visualization, in this visualization, Ksitigarbah visualization, we set up another, figure. So in that figure, we, dissolve back, right? This is third. The fourth one is, I think we now better do the fourth one, fourth one. Now, the rays of light, emanate from Buddha Shakyamuni's heart, and it's scattered, is spread to all the merit field, right? And then rays of light begin to, dissolve from the edge of the merit field, from the edge of the object of refuge. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas begin to dissolve into light, like this, like, exhaling vapor on the mirror. Finally, it dissolves all the matter from the surrounding it, and then the light finally dissolves into the Buddha Shakyamuni. Buddha Shakyamuni himself also began to dissolve, into light from the edge, right? And then finally, Buddha Shakyamuni himself is dissolved into the light. Now, this light, we are going to do this with light, right? So with this light, there are different ways of, we can dissolve into the hand, you can dissolve into the ear, we can dissolve into the heart, like there are different ways. But here, the most important thing is that you dissolve into here, right? In the mid-eyebrow. With this, when dissolve into you, you receive the blessing of all the object of refuge, the blessing of the body, the blessing of the speech, and the blessing of the mind, of all the object of refuge that you have visualized, you receive the blessing. So we don't think these are unimportant. Very, very important. These are very important. If we, try to give some, receive some real blessing, these are makes sense. Yeah. Sometimes, in order we also to do this, to develop a true, reliable faith, devotion, I think some merit is required. Some support of merit is necessary. Right. So, and you receive all the blessing of the body, speech, and mind of all the refuge, object of refuge. How wonderful you would be. Because Buddha Shakyamuni and all the Buddhas of the past, all the Buddhas of present, all the Buddhas of the future, we haven't seen them. We haven't seen them, you know. We haven't received any teachings from them, the Buddhas of the past, right? And also the Buddha Shakyamuni. Physically, we are not able to see them. The great masters of the past, the great Panditas, the great scholars, right? All the Buddha, the holders of the Buddha's teaching, we have got no, you know, to see them. We haven't got to see them. The only thing that we can do is to gain the inspiration, to receive the blessing. Physically, we are not able to do that, you know. But now, through visualization, we are able to do that. And then, do we receive the blessing? How much blessing you receive depends on how much devotion you have. So that determines, right? So this is all for the solution of the object of refuge. This is how we can do. Then visualization. What time? 11:45. I see. I think yeah, it's okay. If I can explain a little bit. Now visualization, right? Now Ksitigarbah visualization. Now we come to the Ksitigarbah visualization. The syllable trim transform into Ksitigarbah golden in color, wearing a golden upper garment, peaceful, with bloodshot eyes, and with a garland of blue flowers upon his head. Right. His right hand holds a fruit, and his left hand a precious stone upon a lotus. Now, you have the picture, right, everybody? Last time distributed. Yeah, this people I think see. This is the Tsim syllable. This I wrote, you know, on the Ksitigarbah's, you know, image. There is one syllable, Tsim. This is Tsim. Now, first, what we have to do is at this point, visualization, right? At this point, what we need to do is, again, you know, again, we cannot, you know, visualize, oh, we visualize this kind of letter, you know, in front of you, and this kind of letter, it immediately transform into, you know, Ksitigarbah. It doesn't make any sense, right? So this is not how we are supposed to do when we visualize the Ksitigarbah, right? First, we need to meditate again, you know. The teaching on emptiness. The teaching on emptiness is the very heart essence of the Buddha's teaching. So therefore, it becomes very significant and, you know, critical to meditate on reflect on the emptiness, you know, selflessness. Because without, you know, meditating on selflessness, then it's, you know, and it's so, yeah. Then it's so. So therefore, you know, you need to purify, you need to meditate on emptiness. Actually, even though we don't have gain insight, we don't have some kind of insight into the emptiness, you know, or selflessness, but actually have some rough understanding what emptiness really is. It's very important. This understanding of emptiness you can apply in many, you know, even in one's day-to-day life experience. Day-to-day life experience, you know, when we are, you know, confronted with, you know, yeah, sometimes, you know, people do very high and esoteric. Sometimes, you know, I don't know We do very esoteric practice, very high practices, in day-to-day life, when we face with a problem, when we are encountered with a problem, what to do? Are we able to apply these esoteric practices? So if we have very good understanding, rough understanding, if we are able to relate this to the day-to-day life experience, then it's really, it's really to the point, and it's a practical, right? Sometimes we are going, too far, very far away, and then not able to, get in touch with this, day-to-day life experience. We believe, oh, this is a specific, in my day-to-day life, it, this and that things matter, this and that thing matter. In my, solitude, in my, separate as a practice, this really relates. Whereas day-to-day life, it does not relate. So this is, again, some kind of, misapprehension and some kind of, mistaken notion, right? Because in the Buddhist terminology, we use, a very beautiful, how to say, term. Meditative equipoise and post-meditation. Meditative equipoise and post-meditation. That means you do meditate, right? You do meditate, Meditative equipoise means you are completely dissolved. You are completely dissolved into the practice, where you cannot separate what is the practitioner, and what is the practice. You can't differentiate. Almost like practitioner and practice almost become like one, like placing water on a water. You cannot differentiate. But what is the real purpose? What is the purpose that you do such a practice where you cannot differentiate between practice and practitioner? What is the point? The very purpose of doing such meditation is, as you arise from that meditation, as you are in the post-meditation, now relate the experience in the day-to-day life, what you have experienced during the meditation. That is the purpose. That is the very purpose, right? Because what is the, if you try to check, what is the purpose of recharging the battery? What is the purpose? The purpose of charging the battery is to run. To run. When in case you need, extra battery. Yes, that is the purpose, So similarly, what we have experienced during meditation is related to the day-to-day life experience, when we are not in experience. Then, whether eating, whether walking, whether doing something, we are able to relate this. Otherwise, wait a minute, this is a practice and this is my way of completely indifferent, right? Unrelated. We see them as unrelated. Now, so therefore, the importance of meditation and emptiness, as I said earlier, is very important to, if we do have the experience of emptiness or selflessness, that would be the best, best. Even if you do not have at least some really, some inferential and rough understanding of emptiness, so important, crucially important. Because this is the very root that all our, suffering, all our, disturbed emotions. By understanding wisdom and by gaining the wisdom, all these are gone. Not gone temporarily, gone forever. So this is the hope that this is This is the thing that we can place our trust and hope that that we can achieve liberation, that we can achieve eternal peace, we can achieve eternal joy. Highest form of enlightenment. If we have this, there's enlightenment, there's a liberation, there's a total peace, there's an eternal peace. Where there's no peace, total peace, right? So this thing is very important. So now what is emptiness, right? Now the question arises, what is emptiness, right? Just understanding, just hearing it is very, something very special. Just hearing it, let alone gaining, insight. Just hearing it, very, very fortunate. And then if you try to think it, extremely fortunate. Right. Now, for example, just tell me what emptiness is. I will try to put in a simple way. I'm not sure. We all know moonlight. The image of the moon in a clear water. We all know the image of the moon in the clear water, right? We see the reflection. We all see the reflection of the moon in the clear water. Right? Reflection of the moon in the clear water. The reflection of the moon in the clear water, we believe this is a real moon. Right? We believe, oh, real moon. Right? Right? Not only this. Now take example. The magician, perform magical, magical things, magical display, perform some kind of magical things. And for example, one table, the magical, through his, magical, deed, magical activity, he performed the table into the one elephant, right? Then we see the elephant, the audience see the elephant, right? Everybody see the elephant. And then we do believe this elephant is a real elephant. Anybody think? Not realizing, not understanding that this is just a magical manifestation, magical transformation. We don't realize this. The moment we see the elephant, we think it is a real elephant. This we know, right? And then based on this, seeing the elephant, then we say, oh, this elephant nice, oh, this elephant some, right? Oh, red color or, a gray color or a black color with the elephant, very, big ear, all these things, we exaggerate or underestimate or overestimate, it doesn't matter. Still we are doing this. Similarly, in a day-to-day life experience, everything that we encountered, everything that we are, exposed to, whether it at we are exposed at a sensory level or mental level, everything is see as true nature, true independent, right? Right. For example, this mala, right? I mean, you have all this table and paper, Right now, when I see this, I see the mala is out there. Mala is out there, right? Mala is out there. At that point, I don't think, oh, this mala is just the imputation. My mind imputed this mala. I never thought this one. So, for example, right? For example, when you go to the forest, all of a sudden the tiger come. What happened? You think tiger is out there? A true independent tiger is out there. So you would feel so frightened. Because why you develop so frightened? Because you believe the tiger is right out there. At that time, you don't think this tiger is your imputation. So everything, right? So because now here, this mala, I see this as a mala. When I see this mala, because why? Maybe sometimes we don't have we may have understanding, or we may not have understanding, right? That everything is appeared from their own side, from their object side. But how can we prove? How do we prove that the object is appeared from their own side? Is because we can easily prove, because we develop anger, we develop these different kinds of we develop different kinds of destructive emotions. The development of the destructive emotions clearly indicate that we believe the things out there, things appear from, just as things, now see, things appear from their own side. That would be, to some extent, it would be okay. Right? It would be okay, right? Because things appear from its own side. But then what it is not okay is that not only things appear, but then based on how it appears, now we are grasping at it, believed to be true. So this is how we suffer. Right. Now, for example, the magician, the magician, through his magical, power, the table is transformed as elephant, for example, right? Transformed as elephant. Now, you see, the audience believe elephant is appeared as magical elephant, is appeared as a real elephant. The audience, in their perception, sense of perception, also mental consciousness, they, things are appeared. The magical elephant is appeared as a real elephant. Not only this, the audience also truly believe the magical appearances, not only based on appearance, but also the audience believe magical elephant is a real elephant. Right. The magician, to his sensory perceptions, to his perception, yes, the magical elephant is appeared as a real elephant, but magical elephant, no, this is not a real elephant, so there's no grasping. He does not believe magical elephant as a real elephant. He does not grasping, he's not believing, because because he is the transformer. Similarly, in our case, those who have gained an insight into emptiness, develop a wisdom, experience, to their sensory perception, things are appeared as true, but there is no grasping for them, because they know, based on its false appearance. They know it's based on false appearance, false misapprehension. So they know. But then those who have no understanding of this, they do not only based on appearance, they're also grasping, strong holding, clinging, right, grasping. So that's why There's craving induced, craving gives rise to suffering. So therefore, understanding the emptiness becomes so important, very, very important. If we are to make a long-lasting, if we are to bring the eternal joy, the long-lasting happiness, the long-lasting satisfaction, the long-lasting blissful state, there is no other method other than realizing wisdom. There's no other method existed other than developing the wisdom within our heart. So wisdom becomes so important. It is the heart essence of the Buddha's teaching. It is the heart of the Buddha's teaching, right? Without which there is no lasting peace, no enlightenment, no liberation, right? This alone the Buddha praised as the most supreme of his teaching, right? Therefore, Ksitigarbah, the great master, he made a salutation to Buddha for having taught the teaching on dependent origination and emptiness, right? So I think I will discuss a little bit about emptiness next time. It's very important, Yeah, it's very important understanding the emptiness. Once you understand the emptiness, have some idea, then if you implement whatever practice, not only practice, even day-to-day life is very, very relevant, so relevant. Then later on, if you then would like to, if we take some interest in the Vajrayana teachings, more esoteric teachings, more esoteric teaching, what is called a secret mantra, secret teachings, secret tantra. Then, because you have some understanding, then makes sense, Then all the tantric teachings, truly make sense, It's really, profundity, right? Otherwise, without altruistic mind, awakening mind, the teaching of emptiness, and this, so even in ancient Indian tradition, they do have tantra, they do have some kind of esoteric, and very secret, teachings there. But the Buddhist, tantra, the uniqueness and the profundity of the Buddhist tantra is surfaced based on the teaching on the altruistic mind and awakening mind, or bodhicitta, right? Bodhicitta, and the teaching on the selflessness, emptiness, which makes the Buddhist tantra so unique. Okay, then we rest on 12. I think. I see. Okay, then we continue with the next, with visualization, some emptiness teaching on the part, and then later on we don't, I think we don't have much, yeah.
Okay.
No question, no?
Everybody, let's do your own dedication, or we do it together?
Oh, yeah, you do your own. Yeah, I'm doing, yeah.
Everybody do your own dedication. Thank you. The course is here ended, and we will start a discussion after 5 minutes. Okay.
Thank you, Venerable.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
I think
Venerable.
no question, right?
No, thank you, Venerable.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, we will make lunch really quick, okay?
Okay, yeah, whatever, yeah, thank you. Yeah.